Hi, everybody. It's me, Karen Holton, and I'm here to bring you some information. You know how there's a lot of conspiracy information out there. I'm not going to say theories because that's just a word given to discredit many different ways of thinking and understanding and interpreting reality. But there are things going on in this world, and a lot of it is very unbelievable. So I'm here to talk to you about one aspect of what's going on today, because I've had experience with it. And that topic is slavery in Canada. Now, there's many different forms of slavery in Canada, but I personally have experienced or have had close friendships with people who have experienced literal slavery here in Canada, and it's been going on for years. And it's allowed to go on because we're always told, oh, you have a choice, you have a choice. But you know what? Sometimes I really wonder about that. And so the first part of I want to talk about is religious slavery. So as many of you know, I was a Jehovah's Witness for about 17 years of my adult life. And I was very dedicated to that religion. I had been to many different churches looking for truth. And when I found the Jehovah's Witnesses, they were very, very kind to me. They were very, very good to me. Of course, after I was baptized and joined them officially, everything changed. You see, in the beginning, what they do is they teach us that we're all representing the God that they worship, who they call Jehovah. And and I'm not saying they're right or wrong. Please don't get me wrong. That's not my intention. I'm just telling you to the best of my understanding on how I've experienced slavery within religion. So the Jehovah's Witnesses are only one of many religions, very many religions, not to mention all the cults in Canada who operate in a similar fashion. And so, as you know, why are there so many Christian churches and religions? Well, it's because some believe in this part of the Bible and some believe in that, and some disregard this and some disregard that. And many religions will interpret the higher understanding, which they claim to be the only ones that have. And in those religions and cults, they have used scripture inappropriately to captivate and to entrance people and to also bring about things that are very good for their organization, but not so good for individuals. So one of the experiences that I experienced and what I saw firsthand while being a Jehovah's Witness was the incredible amount of organized slavery. Now, those of you who know Jehovah's Witnesses, or maybe you are Jehovah's Witnesses, you might say, oh, no, that's not true, that's not true. Well, whatever, you have your perspective, I have mine, and I'm sharing mine. So there are places in the Bible where it talks about women having to obey men. And the Jehovah's Witness religion has taken that very, very seriously. And so quite literally, part of the religion is every woman must be in subjection to men, any man. And so that would include, you know, the higher ups within the congregation, or the congregations are then grouped into what they call circuits. And in all of these different, I don't know what you want to call it, groupings within the religion, they very seriously teach women that they are to be subjected to their husbands, to the congregation. Now, what that really means is that any man can correct a woman, but no woman can correct a man. It also means that the woman is always suspect, because the word of the man, whether he's an unbelieving husband or a believing husband, they will believe the man over the woman every single time. And of course, they will believe the man over the child at any time. So although in the congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses, we were often taught, oh, how evil the Catholic Church is because of the pedophilia and all this. Well, guess what? Turns out the Jehovah's Witness religion has just as many, if not more. It's a common problem to all religions, all walks of life. But that's not the kind of slavery I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is that subjection issue. So if you were lucky and you had a husband who was loving and followed the other commandments as taught by the religion, you might do fairly well. But there are many, many, many women who are married to men that they don't really get to know well. One reason is because sex is forbidden. Premarital sex is forbidden within the Jehovah's Witness religion, as are many different kinds of sex are also taboo within the religion, even between married couples. That really woke me up because I thought, what business does the Bible and Watchtower Society have making rules of what consenting adults are going to do in their bedrooms? So there's that. And then there's also the fact that when you have to obey the man, that type of religion actually attracts people who are abusive, people who want to have more power, people who want to have power over others. And unfortunately, if the woman doesn't obey her husband, she is then ostracized and shunned within the congregation. And within the congregation, you're told not to have close friendships with people who aren't within your religion, because they're all worshiping Satan, whether they believe it or recognize it or not. Now, I'm not saying I believe any of this. I'm telling you from a Jehovah's Witness perspective. So if you are shunned by your own people within your own congregation, then who do you have? You're alone. And you will be restricted as to privileges and social functions and all kinds of things. They call it marking. They mark other people within the congregation as being bad association, and they stay away from them, because every woman is supposed to be a Stepford wife, because she's representing the Most High God according to them, and she must do her duty, which is to obey her husband. Now, sometimes the elders would be involved if there was obvious evidence of that she's being beaten or starved or something like that. But if the husband's an unbeliever, no, they won't get involved at all. So all you get when you go to the elders for help is obey your husband. If you were obeying your husband, you would then be blessed by God and you wouldn't be having these problems. So if you're having problems, that's your fault, because you're not worshiping God to the extreme and to the level that you have been educated that is your duty to do. And so what we have is many, 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 I'll bet you millions of women in the world who are slaves within the household due to their religions and due to having to be in subjection to their husband. People get all upset about the mistreatment of women from different Middle Eastern communities and cultures, but nobody thinks twice about what's going on here, right in Canada and in many other countries that are subjugating women. And so what happens, these women become very depressed. They lose all their life luster. They're just like drone zombies waiting for the next command, always on edge, waiting to be told what's expected from them. Now, I myself had 2 husbands while I was a Jehovah's Witness. The first time I married an unbeliever, and I was told that all my problems were my fault because I married an unbeliever. And if I had have married a believer, I wouldn't be having any of these problems, because God would bless my marriage. And that was my fault. And I had to sleep in the bed that I had made. Now, I asked them, how far do I take this? Because my husband was doing some scary things, especially with regard to brutal punishment of my children. I couldn't just stand by and not protect my children. I went to the elders for help. They said, you have to obey your husband. I said, how far do I take this? They said, well, give me an example. And I said, well, first of all, what if my husband brings in a bucket of purple paint and wants to paint the whole house purple and it's just a hideous color to me? They said, well then, sister, you pick up a brush and you help him paint. I said, what about my children? He's hurting my children. He is purposely hurting me by hurting my children. What do I do? They said, oh, the scriptures are clear about that, Karen. It's better to go into the new order, the new system. That's what they call the world after it's cleansed and taken over by God and that particular religion. They said, better for you to lose an eye and get into the kingdom than to lose out on everlasting life because you didn't obey. You have to obey your husband. You have to let him do whatever he wants. Now, if that isn't slavery, I don't know what is. Okay. The other thing he would do is I would write out a grocery list. He was in charge of all the money and he was in charge of all the shopping. And he would take a pen and strike off anything that he didn't think we needed. So I had it actually pretty good compared to a lot of the other sisters and women that I knew. But I got to tell you, if that isn't slavery, what is? When you have no will of your own, only blind obedience to follow, that is slavery. So even though these women are walking around as free people, no one would ever know, because people within the congregation are forbidden to talk about it. That would be gossip and rumor spreading and troublemaking. And you could get disciplined for that. So you had to keep your mouth shut and you had to trust in Jehovah. Now, the other thing I just want to throw out there in this regard is that back around World War I, World War II, when the Jehovah Witness organization was more in its infancy, and it's been always run by the Bible and Tract Society, which is a group, a council of older men who make all the decisions. Doesn't matter how out of touch with reality they are, they make all the decisions. But what they did was they changed it so that God was no longer a celestial being or a multidimensional ruler or the king of the universe or anything like that. What they did was they made the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, that is now Jehovah. And so you had to obey it explicitly in order to obey God. So I just want to, actually, I guess I'm going to have to turn this into a 3-part because I have 2 more parts of examples of slavery in Canada. And I just want you to know about it because maybe you don't know. And I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. What happened to me is the restrictions became so extreme that I just had a breaking open point and I went, no, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I'm leaving and I'm not ever going back. Oh, they said you can't leave unless you write us a formal letter. I said, fuck you. It's between God and me, not you. You have no control over me. And they didn't officially kick me out. I just left and I'm never going back. It was that horrible. But you would never see that because they're all on their very best Stepford husband and wife behavior because that's all you see. Now, there's a lot of really, really sincere and good people who are also Jehovah Witnesses. I saw many, many people. I was helped over and over and over again by other women who were sympathetic. And interestingly, these were people from the lower caste of the organization. These are people who were either single moms on disability or moms that were working hard on minimum wage, trying to follow the rules and trying to be good Christians. I know I myself really, really tried to be a good Christian, but it just got to the point where it got ridiculous. And it's my hope that today we will exit the slavery that comes with the current conditions. I'm not going to use the words because I would like this podcast to stay up on different social media platforms. But I'm hoping that you will all get to the point where you've said enough. I'll do anything to get my sovereignty back because I know God, in whatever form I understand God to be, it's about love and it's about connection and it's about helping me to be the best me I can be. So this video is not to slander any particular religion. This video, oops, my computer's really glitchy. I had a really hard time with it yesterday. I apologize for that. I'll just continue. Hope it's recording. Anyway, I'm going to produce 2 more short podcasts that are part 2 and 3 of this. So part 2 is about another kind of slavery, which stems from living and being brought up in narcissistic households, because our whole society has turned narcissistic, because those without the empathy are the ones to do the dirty tricks to rise in popularity and power within our within our society. Well, yeah, congregation too. But I want to talk a bit about that. And that is not too far removed from what I've just spoken about, but it is another layer. And then I want to talk about the sex trade and the slave market in Canada, where people are abducted and they can't get out because they're watched all the time, and how they are used and abused in many different ways. And again, I have experience also in this field, because that's what happened to me as a young woman who didn't know the dangers that were out there, and how I was very fortunate. It could have been a lot worse, and how I was helped to escape. And that'll be in part 3. So stay tuned. This is part 1, and hopefully get parts 2 and 3 done as soon as possible. Much love to all of you. Stay free in your heart. Reclaim your sovereignty no matter where you are, what you're doing. And remember that you're loved beyond what you could even imagine. And although a lot of the forces that are on your side and can help you are invisible, or perhaps you can't quite sense them yet, stay tuned, because we're going to teach you how to do all of that too. Much love, everybody.